Welcome to the Daily Awesome People. This is Steve Mayeda broadcasting live on our Men's Development Excellence Call. It is August the 2nd, 2017. And what can you learn from loss? In fact, what did we learn this last weekend? Well, Daniel Cormier, Jon Jones 2 happened and he lost. Daniel Cormier is crying in the ring. Joe Rogan's apologizing for it and all this sort of stuff. But what did we learn about that was that we learned something great. I am so happy for this. I'm so proud of it to watch it. I feel bad if Daniel Cormier didn't like it or whatever. It pissed off some of the powers that be. But what a beautiful thing. And why? Because we got to see what it means for a man to put himself, his soul, his spirit, everything he could possibly imagine about himself, his complete self on the line, lose it and face the music of that. We do not see enough of that. So that's what we're talking about today. We are talking about what loss can teach us, how it's a beautiful thing, and how we should really be proud of it. Although it may hurt in the moment, that will pass. If you're interested in this podcast or you're listening to it on iTunes or Stitcher, subscribe to it, give it some likes, all the sort of stuff. You can get involved with our communities by clicking the free stuff link down below. On this call, man, that's what we're doing. We're talking about men's excellence, and that's how we do it. And if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to our playlists, watch our different videos, because we talk about this sort of thing a lot, and building the bridge and dynamic of masculinity and men's excellence and finding the strength within you is what we do. That is what we do, and this is how we do it, man. We do calls, videos, all this sort of shit. And it's fucking badass. So thank you so much for being here. So what can loss teach us, man? This is something that I don't see men doing enough. And actually, to quote Stephen Grush, who's an amazing men's coach. He started out in the dating scene, but I mean, he's all over. He's an amazing dude. He's a martial artist. He's done so many amazing things with his life. And he's a true man. You know, he's a man that gets it and takes his life to his full expression. I remember we were talking about something and he said, geez, man, I wish more people did martial arts, or somehow we were talking about that. And he goes, man, when you don't do martial arts, when you don't put it online, when you don't challenge yourself, and you don't fully exhaust who you are a bitch online. And I couldn't agree with that more. Now, it's not that you need to challenge yourself with martial arts or some specific thing, but you need to learn to put something on the line. So much of us now lives in fear of what is going to happen or what loss will feel like. I will tell you this, whenever I do a tournament or whenever I compete, or if I go into a new jiu-jitsu school or whatever I'm doing, when I used to do live sparring and punching and stuff like that, had too many concussions. Don't do it. Or I don't do it anymore. You can do it, definitely. It's a great thing. I miss it. I miss it tremendously. There's such a great joy and a good feeling about actually fighting and doing it in real time. And especially when you can think and you're in the pocket or you're in the clinch and stuff is working with you. It's like empathy and violence and all this stuff mixed in one. It's the greatest fucking things. But the thing is when we're challenging ourselves in some way, now those are physical ways, you can do it in other ways, we're putting stuff on the line. We're giving it our all. And when you do a combative martial art, you lose a lot. Or if you start a business, you lose a lot. You do things and they don't work. Man, you go out, you put yourself out in the world sexually. You put yourself out in the world in front of women. You give your heart and your soul to a woman. How are you going to even know your worth? How are you going to even know who you are unless you've actually put it out there? If you say, I have a product that is so good, I want you to buy it, and it's crickets. Or somebody buys it and they said, this doesn't work. I want my money back. How is it that you can know who you are unless you have put that on the line, unless you have shared with the world who you are? See, now your worth is not determined by how people buy, right? Get this straight. So my business, this is a perfect example. I make a lot of videos. I put a lot of production out. I constantly make products. I'm constantly working with people, and sometimes people won't buy. In fact, things like my YouTube channel, I'm just now starting to actually pay attention to how this fucking thing works. Before, I just made videos. I made videos on literally what men would ask me, literally what the hundreds of guys who've gone through my groups ask me live on calls and answer them. But I didn't word them in the right ways or whatever and do all this fancy shit that you're supposed to do in order to get people to watch your goddamn videos. But some people watched them. I built a small following. I built actually a really big business off of getting 100 views or less on YouTube videos for years, man. I built a huge business off of that. That's fucking crazy. I made over $100,000 a year for 10 years in a row. while getting that sort of response or having that output. So that's pretty cool. But I always wondered, why can't I do it? This was never an excuse. This is a bad feedback. This means I'm doing something wrong. But it also didn't mean that I was doing the coaching wrong. It didn't mean that I didn't have the funnel or the sales process or a company or a fucking major product that engaged men to be better and to live better and actually have great results with their lives getting better. It meant that I built those things. I built those things because I didn't get the easy yes, because I didn't get the win. For the longest time, I was not massively popular in the industry. In fact, you could still say I'm not massively popular. That's fine. Of course, that's a different thing. I want to get more exposure. I want to get more people coming into what I do. But the beautiful thing is I built up a major business that outperforms a lot of people's businesses who get hundreds of thousands of views on their shit. That's crazy. That's crazy. So the result isn't what gives us our worth. What gives us our worth is what we make with the results we get. Does that make sense? Let that sink in for a second. You put your worth out there in the world. You say, this is who I am. You say, this is who I am in terms of a relationship. You say, this is my commitment. This is who I am in terms of going on the mats. This is who I am in terms of running this race. This is who I am in terms of writing this book and putting something out there in the world that means something to me. And we put it out there on the line and it either takes or it doesn't. But the problem with the win is, and we all want that win is great. Success is awesome. It gives us the motivation to continue. But if it gives us too much of anything else outside of that motivation for us to continue to better ourselves, then we lose. Because success is kind of boring. I don't have to work at anything. I don't have to be challenged. If I have too much success, I never think about testing myself anymore. And one of the greatest values of you is knowing your potential, knowing who you are, and being able to assert that out in the world. And that's a huge thing of what I stand for. Man, you do not know honesty until your honesty has been challenged. You do not know what it means to have integrity until your integrity has been challenged. And you do not know what it means to be you until that has been challenged. I would even go so far to say, just because I've made a lot of bad decisions in my life, you don't know who you are until you've lost that and had to work for it back. Man, we are so afraid of putting ourselves on the line. We see, the pain of perhaps Daniel Cormier or whoever when somebody loses or whatever it is. And it's hard to explain, if you are somebody that does put yourself on the line, how loss can help you. But man, I wouldn't want it any other way. I lose a lot. If you're doing something like jiu-jitsu, you should lose way more than you win. Not just in competitions in class and all that sort of stuff. That's how you learn. You should lose way more than you win because you always have to be challenged. You have to know those different things. And you also have to know what loss means. Is that all it means is that it was an expression of you that didn't work. And why does that have to be a big deal? Man, and there's a couple things that happen when I lose. I talked about this in other videos. Is that I'll make excuses. I'll get angry. I'll blame shit. But pretty soon, hopefully, if I'm healthy enough, that passes. That's fleeting. That's one of those things I think that naturally happens when you lose. You get mad. And the more you have experience with that, the more you have experience with your self-confidence and who you are, the quicker that goes away. Now, of course, with somebody possibly, I don't know, but like Daniel Cormier, who built this up for years, man. He built this up for years. He took the loss. He worked his ass off in the gym. He fought, 3 or 4 other fights in between that. He then was supposed to fight Jones, and Jones pissed dirty for a test or whatever that sort of controversy was, and that got pulled from it. And then he had to do it, and then he gets knocked out. And he doesn't even remember or know why, and he's crying in the ring, and there's this big release, and there could be all that shit happening in the body that he may have not even been in that much control with. But he lost his shit. That's a fucking champion. That's a man. That's a badass. We don't see enough of that in our culture. What we see are people that only look good and want to post it on Instagram or YouTube or whatever, just so they can broadcast some form of self-worth. Man, to see a man put him on the line, his absolute worth, pour it out there. To even say, I don't ever want to go through that pain again and then have to face it. That's a fucking champion. That's a badass. And hey, not to take anything away from Jon Jones. What an amazing fucking athlete. What an amazing thing. Think of him what you will, and I don't think of him that highly in what I see about his persona, but I don't know. But man, what an amazing goddamn, that was amazing. Jesus Christ. But we need to start seeing that whole thing is a beautiful thing. You want to put yourself on the line, you're going to lose more than you win. And if you're winning more than you lose, then you're not reaching high enough, far enough, or pressing yourself. Challenge yourself, man. Step that up. That's how we get there. And it doesn't have to be in some crazy fighting, whatever thing. It has to be with what you're passionate about and who you are, and broadcasting that out there in the world. That is beautiful. This is the Daily Awesome. I'm Steve Mayeda. If you liked it, subscribe to our channel, subscribe to our YouTube channel, subscribe to our iTunes or our Stitcher feeds. And man, check out our other playlists. They're super cool. You know, give us some likes, some feedback, all that sort of good love and blah, 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 blah. I am out of here. You guys have a good day, and we'll keep doing what we do. And fuck, man, give us some fuel. Give us some fuel. Give us some questions to talk about. All right. Later, guys.